Let's just start this video out by saying that as basketball fans, we love to overreact. History has proven to us time and time again that 1 game, 3 games, even 10 games over a long basketball season usually is not a good indicator of a team's overall success. For instance, remember when a certain team was down 3-1 in the playoffs and we all wrote them off, and then they came back and miraculously won and we all felt like idiots? Yup, I'm pretty sure we all remember when the Golden State Warriors came back from a 3-1 series deficit to win the Western Conference Finals. Seriously, the 2016 Thunder gave us one of the biggest choke jobs in NBA history, but no one's ever really gonna talk about that. Because as we know, the Warriors kind of won up them 1 round later. All I'm saying is that the 2016 Thunder are very lucky. And I'm reminding you that when the Warriors and the Cavs were down 3-1, everyone wrote them off. Even though they were great teams all season, because we love to overreact. So this season, when Kevin Durant went down with an injury and the Warriors lost 5 of their next 7 games, I decided, don't panic, don't overreact. And would you look at that, the Warriors have won their last 5 games in a row. But here's the thing. If I was a fan of the Golden State Warriors, I'd still be worried. Because before Kevin Durant went down with an injury, the Warriors were seemingly unbeatable. They were 50-9, had the #1 overall seed in the NBA practically wrapped up, and had plenty of high-level NBA analysts convinced that nobody could touch them in the playoffs this year. Now, well, the Warriors have looked very, very mortal. They've gone from a team that was all but guaranteed a championship to a team that many think will not even reach the NBA Finals. So today, we're going to look at why the Warriors should feel worried right now, and if we're talking about the concerns of the Golden State Warriors, the first person we have to talk about is Steph Curry. Because last year, Steph made history with an awesome 2016 season that saw him average over 30 points a game with a 31.5 PER, while also being named the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. This year, Steph has clearly fallen off a bit. He's averaging less than 25 points a game. He only has a 23.7 PER, and his numbers are really just down across the board. Now, I get that his scoring is obviously going to go down with the addition of one of the best scorers in the NBA to the Golden State Warriors roster. But the thing is, with another big-time scorer on the floor, Steph is supposed to be getting easier shots, at least in theory. And maybe he is, but his numbers certainly don't reflect that. As last year, he shot over 50% from the field and over 45% from 3, while this year, he's only shooting 46% from the field and 40% from 3. On top of all of this, it's been clear that since Durant's injury, Steph is just not his usual self. Without KD on the floor, many assumed Steph would jump back into his MVP form, but in the 11 games he's played in since the injury, Steph is averaging 24.9 points, 6.4 assists, 5.1 rebounds a game, while shooting 44% from the field and 36% from 3. These numbers are basically carbon copies of his numbers for the entire regular season, which is a problem. And numbers aside, the thing that might be even a bigger problem is the loss of Steph's swagger. Last year, Steph had this confidence in himself that told the world that even though he wasn't as big as someone like LeBron, even though he wasn't as strong as someone like LeBron, he still believed that he was better than LeBron. Now, well, I just don't get the feeling that Steph still believes that. I mean, maybe he does still believe he's the best, but we both know right now it doesn't look like it. And you might be thinking, Mike, 25 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds a game for a single player is pretty good. But the thing is, those numbers aren't great. And if Kevin Durant is playing in the playoffs this year injured or misses the playoffs, then the Warriors are going to need Steph Curry to be great. Because yeah, I'm saying it right now, there's no guarantee Kevin Durant comes back from injury. History has shown us that sometimes these injuries are more serious than they appear. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit, but for now, let's get into the reasons for why I think Steph Curry has taken a step back this year. So since KD got injured and Steph did not immediately return to his superstar form, people have begun to ask, what's wrong here? The first possible answer we've heard is that Steph is just tired, that playing in 2 championships in the last 2 seasons and giving it his all every single night has just worn him out. But to be honest, I just don't see that as a viable excuse. For one thing, Golden State is very careful with their minutes. They rest guys at every possible chance they can. Steph is averaging under 34 minutes a game this year and doesn't even rank in the top top 30 among the minutes per game leaders. On top of that, Steph's conditioning program is second to none, and he took the summer off from Team USA to get rest for the upcoming year. Meanwhile, his own teammate Klay Thompson has played just as many playoff games as he has, played on Team USA over the summer, is averaging more minutes per game this year than Steph, and is putting up almost identical numbers to last year. So I don't think the problem here is that Steph is tired. At least I don't think that's the whole problem. What I think the problem is this season is that Steph has just been overthinking a whole lot of things. For one thing, he's overthought the addition of KD. As Steve Kerr put it, I think early in the season, Steph was trying to get out of the way to find KD and get him shots. And I think he was almost worried if he shot too much, it would almost take away from Kevin. So already we can see that this year Steph has gone out on the court with the agenda to make sure KD feels welcome in Golden State, which to me is a little backwards. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? The new guy should defer to the more established star, at least at first? Whatever, it's really no surprise that Steph would go out of his way to make sure KD likes playing with the Warriors, because Steph's just that type of guy. But I do think looking to pass more and not looking for his own shot as much has affected him this year. I also think he's overthought KD's injury and has been forcing stuff since the injury. It's almost as if he's heard all of our expectations and decided he needs to jump back into MVP Steph mode or the Warriors are going to lose every single game. That's not the case, and he needs to realize that. He needs to stay within himself and trust his teammates. Even without Durant, the Warriors have 3 All-Stars on their roster, and it's been their team style of play that's led them to success in the past. Now, finally, I think Steph has also overthought the NBA Finals. Listen, the worst thing a basketball player can ever do is dwell on his mistakes. You should learn from those mistakes, yes, but you have to get over them. I don't think Steph has gotten over Game 7 of the NBA Finals yet. I don't think he's gotten over being locked up by Kevin Love in a critical possession. I don't think he's gotten over the questionable behind the back pass. I don't think he's gotten over blowing a 3-1 lead in the finals. Steph himself has admitted that Game 7 still haunts him, as in September he said, "I still haven't gotten over Game 7. That's something that will stay with me pretty much forever." So I don't think Steph is just tired and that's the reason his play has suffered. I think he's in his own head right now. This year, we're not seeing the Steph who thought he was the best player in the NBA. Instead, we're seeing a less confident version of that guy. But with that said, I do think he's going to figure it out. The great players in league history always have, and make no mistake, Steph Curry is an all-time great player. The numbers back up that he's an all-time great. The eye tests the last 2 years have backed up that he's an all-time great. He just needs to believe that he's an all-time great again. The Warriors need him to believe this if they're going to have any chance to win an NBA title this year. And for argument's sake, I just have to say, maybe we're all just overthinking this. I mean, for all we know, Steph is just going 90% now so he can go 100% in the playoffs. I went back to the 2010 season and found an 11-game stretch where Kobe Bryant, a man who would go on to win the championship that year, averaged under 22 points per game and shot less than 38% from the field. That happened between games 33 and 43 if you're interested, but the message here is that even for the best players in NBA history, slumps happen. So if you asked me, should the Warriors be worried about Steph Curry, I would say no. The man works harder than almost everyone in the league. He has the best jump shot I've ever seen. I think he's gonna figure it out. But unfortunately for the Warriors, I also don't think Steph Curry is the real problem here. I think if there's one man the Warriors should be worried about, it's Kevin Durant. Because as we all know, this offseason the Warriors gutted much of their roster in order to clear the cap space to sign Durant. Now, this move was a no-brainer. If you have a chance to get a top 5 player in the NBA and all you have to do is get rid of some role players, you take that opportunity 100 times out of 100 times. But now, with Durant injured, the Warriors find themselves with a 12-man roster that's starting Patrick McCaw and Zaza Pachulia while relying on heavy minutes from Ian Clark and a washed-up Matt Barnes and a washed-up David West. The lack of talent from last year is obvious. The lack of depth is obvious, and right now, that isn't even the team's main problem, because recently it's become abundantly clear that the Warriors are just not used to playing without Kevin Durant. As I said before, since KD joined the Warriors, Steph has done pretty much everything he can on the court to make him feel comfortable. But it's not just Steph who's done this, it's pretty much been the whole team. And if they had a training camp and a whole season to deal with this, then I'd have a lot more faith in Steph, Clay, and Draymond figuring it out. But with limited time to deal with this and a whole lot less bench depth than last year when they lost in the NBA Finals, well, the Warriors right now are pretty much relying on Kevin Durant to return healthy for the playoffs. And we've been told that Durant is supposed to return within 4 to 6 weeks. But the thing is, who really knows? Those 4 to 6 weeks are just a timetable, a very rough estimate. Sure, for all we know, Durant could be healthy for the entire 2017 playoffs. But let's be honest here, how many times have we seen an injury that should take about 6 weeks to fully heal end up being much more serious? To give you just one example, let's go back to 2015, where the same type of injury situation happened with Kevin Durant. Yes, in 2015, the injury was to his foot and was slightly more serious, but we were told that after his foot injury, KD would return in around 6 to 8 weeks. That year, Durant did return. Then he got hurt again, so he sat out a few more games. Then he returned again. Then he got hurt again. Then he missed the remainder of the season with injuries. So if I was a Warriors fan, I wouldn't be worried about Steph Curry right now. Instead, I'd be worried about Kevin Durant's return. Because let's be honest here, with the roster they already had, the Golden State Warriors had a guaranteed championship contender in place for the next 3 to 5 years. They messed up that chemistry and took a risk and signed Kevin Durant. A move that, again, I would make every single time I could. As a fan, yeah, I kind of hated it, but if I was the general manager of the Warriors, yeah, I'd take Kevin Durant. Whatever risks he brings in, his talent is undeniably worth it. The thing is, if you take that risk and you lose Kevin Durant to injury, well, then you're the 2017 Golden State Warriors right now. Still a great team, still a team led by 3 All-Stars, but a team that's no longer even a guarantee to reach the NBA Finals, let alone win the NBA Finals. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new. We're in the most exciting part of the season. There's going to be so many videos this summer. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss out. For everyone who's already subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting me. You know it means the world to me. And as always, have an awesome day, my dudes, and cue that music.